The room was charged with electric energy. A nearly palpable tension filled the air as US senators prepared to face one of the most controversial and fascinating men of his generation. Elon Musk, the visionary billionaire behind SpaceX, was about to be confronted in a hearing that promised to be nothing short of a spectacle. They wanted answers. Deep down, perhaps they wanted to humiliate him. But what they didn't know was that Musk had an ace up his sleeve, a response as devastating as it was unexpected. The cameras were ready. The nation watched, captivated, as Senator Graham, a veteran of Washington's corridors of power, adjusted his microphone with the precision of a maestro preparing for a concert. With a flawlessly pressed suit and a restrained smile, he began. "Mr. Musk, we acknowledge your achievements, but there are issues that cannot be ignored." On the other side of the table, Musk remained unshaken. Wearing a simple suit and a disinterested expression, he seemed more like a curious spectator than the target of a public investigation. His fingers drummed softly on the wooden surface as he listened to the accusations. Technical failures, explosive launches, unfulfilled promises. It was a surgical attack, prepared months in advance, but Musk showed not the slightest concern. In October 2012, a Falcon 9 mission failed to deliver a secondary payload to its intended orbit. Graham's voice grew stronger, his words echoing through the chamber. "Mr. Musk, did your company take responsibility for this failure?" Musk's eyes glimmered, but he remained silent. Graham, however, pressed on. Meanwhile, the United Launch Alliance maintains a record of 68 consecutive launches without failure. Under your leadership, SpaceX has faced public setbacks, development delays, and explosive tests. So, Mr. Musk, what is your response to this? Murmurs rippled through the room. Journalists typed furiously, while military officials exchanged significant glances. Everyone awaited the response, everyone except Musk, who seemed to have been waiting for this moment his entire life. He leaned forward, his eyes locking onto Graham's. The faint smile on Musk's lips was nearly imperceptible but laden with meaning. When he spoke, his voice was firm and clear. "Senator, if your definition of success is perfection, then why are we here to talk about progress?" The room plunged into silence. The impact of his words was like a controlled explosion, dismantling the carefully constructed accusations. Musk not only dismissed the criticism but reframed it, turning the narrative into an implicit praise of innovation and courage. Everyone in the room, from skeptics to seasoned politicians, knew something extraordinary was unfolding. This wasn't just a billionaire defending his company. It was a visionary reminding the world that greatness comes with risks, and that the future belongs to those who dare. Now, all attention was riveted. The audience knew they were about to witness something historic. Elon Musk took a deep breath, his sharp gaze cutting across the room like a general preparing to launch a decisive counterattack. He wasn't in a rush, knowing that in this moment, every word he spoke was a weapon. "Senator," he began, with a sharp calm that only heightened the tension in the air, "if we're going to talk about perfection, perhaps we should discuss how we define failures and successes." The faint smile on Musk's face seemed like a prelude to something no one in the room was prepared to hear. He adjusted his posture, leaning slightly forward as his voice rang out firm and clear. "Yes, in 2012, we experienced an anomaly with one of our Merlin engines. But while many focused on what went wrong, the primary payload reached its destination perfectly. We learned, corrected, and moved forward. That is the essence of innovation." He paused strategically, observing the impact of his words as an uncomfortable silence spread through the room. Musk continued, his intensity growing, impossible to ignore. "The United Launch Alliance can be proud of its 70 consecutive flawless launches. But, if we're being honest, what some call minor anomalies, we call learning opportunities. Perhaps the ULA should explain why two of its rockets, the Delta IV Heavy and the Atlas, required full investigations by the Air Force. That seems far from perfect to me." Senator Graham adjusted his tie, clearly uneasy with the direction the conversation was heading. He hadn't anticipated Musk openly challenging the ULA's record with such specific facts. Musk, however, wasn't close to being finished. He continued, his voice gaining momentum, transforming into a thunderous echo within the Capitol walls. At SpaceX, success isn't just defined by what we avoid but by what we achieve. We developed reusable rockets, slashed launch costs by multiples, and set new standards for the industry. And we do this by taking risks. Every explosion, every mistake, is a step towards something greater. We don't hide behind minor anomalies to preserve a perfect record. We are transparent because we believe that's how the industry moves forward. The room fell silent. Not even Senator Graham could mask his discomfort. Musk's words weren't just a defense, they were a manifesto. He had turned the attack into a platform to rewrite the rules of the aerospace industry. Finally, Musk concluded, his voice now quieter but no less powerful. Senator, if the public deserves to know the truth, as you said, then here it is. Perfection is a myth. Progress, however, is real, and at SpaceX, we are committed to it, no matter the cost. The murmurs began again, but this time they carried a different tone. It wasn't skepticism. It was respect. Even the fiercest critics in the room realized that Musk had owned the moment. Not with excuses, but with a vision so clear and bold that no one dared interrupt him. A heavy silence hung over the room as Musk's words reverberated, laden with conviction and disdain for traditions he deemed outdated. He had touched a raw nerve, not just among the senators but across an industry accustomed to playing it safe. The murmurs spread like wildfire. Journalists typed feverishly, military officials exchanged glances, and even the most skeptical senators seemed momentarily shaken by Musk's response. Senator Graham, visibly uncomfortable with the direction the hearing was taking, tried to recover. Clearing his throat, he carefully measured his next words, attempting to regain control of the narrative. Mr. Musk, he began, his voice now slightly hesitant, some would argue that your approach is unconventional, perhaps even dangerous. The aerospace industry has established procedures and standards for a reason. Musk leaned back in his chair, his characteristic faint smile growing with confidence. He knew this was the moment to drive his vision home. Senator, he began with the same sharp calm as before. If unconventional is the price of making humanity a multi-planetary species, then I would say it's a price worth paying. He paused, letting his words sink into the minds of everyone present. Then he continued, his voice now deeper, imbued with purpose. As for danger, space itself is dangerous. It always has been. Every astronaut who sits atop a rocket, every engineer who designs new technology, every nation that decides to explore the cosmos understands this. The question isn't whether we'll face risks, but whether we'll let those risks stop us from achieving something extraordinary. The statement was like a lightning bolt. The room erupted into murmurs. Reporters typed feverishly, trying to capture every word, while camera flashes illuminated Musk's composed face. Some senators leaned forward, intrigued, while others seemed to struggle to hide the reluctant admiration they felt. What was meant to be a hearing designed to challenge and undermine him had become something entirely different. Musk wasn't just withstanding scrutiny. He was using the moment as a stage to reaffirm his vision for a bolder, riskier, and therefore more rewarding, future. Senator Graham, though clearly shaken, made one last attempt to steer the conversation. But he, like everyone else, knew the moment no longer belonged to the Senate. It belonged to Elon Musk, and to the idea that progress demands courage, even in the face of the unknown. The hearing, which began as an attempt to discredit Elon Musk, ended in an unexpected way, as a testament to his determination and vision. Musk's words, filled with conviction and defiance, resonated in the minds of everyone present as the room slowly emptied. He didn't just defend his approach. He redefined the parameters of what success in space exploration truly meant. As Musk exited the chamber, surrounded by a flurry of photographers and journalists, the energy in the air was palpable. There was no longer any doubt. SpaceX was not just an aerospace technology company. It was a movement, a disruptive force challenging norms and pushing the industry to reassess its priorities. Musk's vision for the future was bold, unshakable, and to many, inspiring. Yes, his approach involved risks. Yes, the errors were public and at times humiliating. But, as he made clear, Great advances require great risks. The greatest achievements don't come from avoiding failure, he declared confidently, but from being willing to risk everything in pursuit of something revolutionary. For his critics, his words sounded like arrogance. For his supporters, they were a battle cry. Regardless of which side people chose, no one left that room indifferent. The hearing left a reflection that went beyond the simple clash between Musk and the senators. The future of American space exploration was at stake. Should we prioritize safety and consistency above all else? Or must we accept a certain level of risk to achieve the extraordinary? Musk demonstrated that he was not afraid to bet big, and so far, his bets were paying off. Now we ask you, do you believe the future of space exploration should be guided by traditional safety or by bold innovation? Share your opinions and join this critical debate. After all, humanity's progress has always been tied to those who dared to push boundaries. The hearing wasn't just a clash between Elon Musk and the Senate. It was a symbol of the struggle between tradition and innovation. While the senators tried to uphold established norms, Musk embodied the spirit of explorers from the past. Those who risked everything to cross uncharted oceans, explore inhospitable continents, and now conquer space. The chamber felt like an arena where conflicting ideas of perfection and progress collided. Musk, contrary to many expectations, wasn't there merely to defend himself. He was there to redefine the future of space exploration. During the hearing, Senator Graham and other SpaceX critics relied on carefully selected data and statistics, highlighting past failures and promoting the reliability of traditional methods. To them, SpaceX was reckless, a threat to the standards that had ensured safety and consistency for decades. Musk, however, knew that numbers were only part of the story. He didn't deny the failures. On the contrary, he used them as examples of learning. With sharp rhetoric, he presented a grand vision that transcended technical details. A world where space travel was accessible, where financial and technological barriers were broken, and where humanity could finally become a multiplanetary species. Every explosion, Musk said in a striking moment, is a lesson. Every mistake is an opportunity. And every success is a step forward towards something that was once considered impossible. While the camera flashes focused on Musk and the senators, the real impact was happening behind the scenes. Military officials, tech executives, and representatives from allied nations watched in silence. Musk's proposal wasn't just a challenge to traditional companies, but also a promise of drastic changes to the balance of power in space exploration. Throughout the hearing, many of these observers began to question their own beliefs. It was true that SpaceX's approach had its flaws, but it was also undeniable that the company had achieved feats once thought impossible. Reusable rocket landings, a dramatic reduction in launch costs, and a global impact on the perception that space was no longer the sole domain of superpowers. As the hearing unfolded, the narrative transcended the walls of the Capitol. On social media, in technology forums, and in discussions around the world, Musk's words were passionately debated. Critics questioned his boldness, while admirers highlighted his courage. In China, Russia, and Europe, where governments and private companies were also striving to advance in the space sector, the hearing was watched closely. Rival nations recognized that SpaceX was not just an American company. It was a global force rewriting the rules of the game. When Musk left the chamber, he hadn't just defended his company. He had issued a challenge. The future of space exploration would not be shaped by static perfection, but by the courage to embrace uncertainty. The hearing had started as an attack on SpaceX, but ended as a milestone in history. It marked the end of an era of complacency and the beginning of a bolder, riskier, and perhaps brighter future. As the room emptied, one question lingered in everyone's mind. Are we ready to accept the risks that come with progress? Musk had made it clear that he was, and that he was willing to lead the way. And you? Do you believe it's worth risking everything for a revolutionary future? Or do you prefer the comfort of the certainties tradition offers? This isn't just a discussion about rockets or contracts. It's about who we are as humanity, and where we want to go. Share your opinion and join this debate that will shape the future of space exploration. And stay with us for more stories like this. Moments that shift narratives and leave marks on the future.